All right, what's up, everyone? Greg here, Project Unbroken. So, one of the most common questions I've been getting lately is what's it like to get on depression medicine? I think there's a lot of people dealing with depression right now, and they're thinking about getting on medication. They want to know what it's like to get on it before they make that decision. So, by the way, I apologize for the phone, the quality of the video. It's the only time I have to shoot videos right now. So, recap my situation in March when the pandemic hit. I guess that was 2020. March 2020, I had my first bout of really bad panic attacks, and it never really happened to me before, and that lasted about 10 days. It was really bad 5 days, and then it tapered off. By about 10 days, I was back to myself. And then 3 months later in June, it hit me again, and the same thing. For 5 days really bad, but the thing is, this time it didn't get better. It got worse after the 5 days. And it was about after 2 weeks where I couldn't take it anymore, and I jumped on depression medication for the first time ever. Never thought I would have to take depression medicine. Never was even a thought in my mind. First experience with it, and first really experience with depression. But this is my experience with it. I'm just going to tell you, how it went. So it definitely didn't go how I thought. I thought I would take the medication and I would feel better, pretty much right away. And that's not how it works, at least for me, speaking from my experience. And this seems to be pretty consistent with the research I've done. Because before I got on it, I did tons of research to know what to expect and all that. And then, of course, as I was on it, I would research a ton because I was trying to get better and figure out, what's happening and what's going on. So it seems like what happened with me is pretty common, but it's going to be different for everyone. Just a little disclaimer. And of course, I had situational depression. I don't deal with clinical depression where I have it all the time. This is kind of just hopefully just a one-time thing, or at least, it's not something I deal with on a consistent basis. So just want to put that out there. So again, I was in about a 2-week really bad panic attacks, mild depression spell. The panic was actually worse than depression, but depression sucked too, obviously. I got on the medication, and the first 5 days of it got worse. So, panic attacks like you couldn't even imagine, where I just wanted to jump out of my skin. I couldn't do anything but pace, walk around, just move, and I couldn't stop moving. And then actually the depression got worse than it was, where I would have these really, really hard bouts of depression where nothing would make me happy. I remember one day my mom saying, "Why don't you just throw on some music?" I'm like, "Mom, you don't understand. I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to see my kids. I don't want to do anything, nothing. And if I don't want to see my kids, that's bad." It's just nothing I did made me happy. That feeling was horrible. So the first 5 days, it was like the panic attacks went through the roof. Depression got way worse, and it got worse before it got better, which seems like is a pretty common thing with a lot of people who take depression medication. So that was the first 5 days. The next 5 days or so, maybe the next week, it went back to where it was before I got on the medication, I would say, in that range. And of course, you go up and down. You'll have really bad times, then decent times. I wouldn't say I had any good times during that time. But yeah, so the days 5 to 10 or so, it was kind of back to where it was before. After that, especially at the 2-week mark, it started getting a little better. But the thing is, it goes through bouts where you go through waves. And it seems like the earlier I was on my medication, the wavier it was, right? And the longer I was on my medication, it would be right? So you'd be down here a little bit, and you'd be up. The highs would be a little longer, the lows would be a little shorter. And that's kind of the way it went throughout the whole time I've been on the medication, until I leveled off, where now, of course, I'm on it. I guess I've been on 6 months or so, and I feel like myself just about pretty much all the time. I would say 99% of the time I feel like myself now. But yeah, during those first few months especially, it was definitely a wave. The first 2 weeks were just horrible, first week and a half. And then after that, I would say from week and a half to about the 2-month range was this. But the wave slowed as I went through the couple months. And by about the month mark, I definitely felt way better than I did before. But the thing that's tricky is, you're on depression medicine, you're thinking it's going to fix you, then you have these bad times and, kind of these bad bouts of either depression or panic or both or whatever the case is, and your head immediately seems to go to, "Oh my God, it's happening again." And that's what can make it worse. And for me, it took some sessions with a counselor to kind of get over that and kind of build my skill sets again of, this is temporary, push through it. Because I always had that before, and then when this hit me, I lost it, where it was like, oh my God, my head went to, I'm going to feel like this forever. I don't know why, because usually during tough times, I push through them pretty easy, but when this hit, it like set me back to where I thought I would be stuck in this forever. Maybe that was just because of the severity of it. It was so scary. I thought I would, what if I get stuck in this forever? And I learned that the what ifs lead to really bad things. You can't do what ifs. You have to kind of just deal with it, push through, and then get to the next, whenever you feel good again. So that's one of the biggest things I had to push through, is building that skill set again of when you get hit with these kind of bouts of lower times, not going back to, oh my God, it's happening again, because that's what makes it worse. That's what could make you worse and kind of relapse, so to speak. Because it almost gave me PTSD, especially being that I've never dealt with it before. It was so new to me and it scared the shit out of me so bad that when I did have my lows, it was like, holy shit, it's happening again. And you got to be careful to think like that. So yeah, that was kind of like my quick overview experience of it. First 5 days, it got way worse. Days 5 to 10, about back to where I was before. Weeks 2 to 3 to 4, I would say, 2, 3, 4 were like, a little better than it was before. After week 4, I would say week 4 to 6, I would say I was up on the up level of the kind of the waves 80% of the time. Week 6 to 8, maybe 9% of the time. And then after about 2.5, 3 months, I was mostly back to myself. And then I'd say by about the 3-month mark, I was just about all the way back to myself. So that was kind of my timeline. It takes a while to work. It's not just you take it, you feel better, and that's it. So just be wary of that when you get on it. It would definitely take, I would say, a little more for me to get on again if this ever happened again. Hopefully I built some skills to where I'd be able to get off it, kind of get through it myself now, going through this once, but you never know. And it would definitely be a last resort for me. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting on it, don't expect to just take it and you feel better magically. You got to work through it. And I think if you're prepared for that, it'll be a little easier, because if you're not prepared for that and then, you feel even worse, you're like, oh my God, depression medicine is not even working for me. It can send you through, kind of a bad spiral. So that's my experience with it. Hopefully that helps you guys. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'll talk about too how I'm weaning off, because some of these doctors, I don't think they understand the weaning process. I know my doctor, I was on 10 milligrams, and she didn't know I'm coming down on my own, and I kind of just put this out there to test her and see how she would wean me off. And I said, so when I'm ready to come off, like, how are we going to do it? And she said, well, you got to get a pill cutter, you got to cut it in half, we'll go down to 5 milligrams for 6 weeks, and then we'll jump off. I'm telling you, if I did that, it would have been bad, because when I first started weaning, I think I went down like an average of like 1.75 milligrams a day. I'll explain all this in the video when I do it. And I felt that pretty bad. So if I went down 5 milligrams just immediately, it would have been really, really bad withdrawal. So I'll explain exactly how I'm withdrawing, or how I'm detoxing now, or not detoxing, but kind of weaning myself off where I've had no pain at all. And I'll do that, once I'm a little lower. I'm on 3.5 milligrams now. I started at 10, which is the lowest dose, and now I'm down to 3.5. So hopefully another 2-3 months and I'll be off, and I can shoot that video. All right, guys, hopefully this helps. Talk to y'all soon.